Yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yes, before understanding today's concepts, let's try to recollect it, what we were understanding yesterday, and then we'll continue. Yeah, yesterday, which we were understanding about how do we take this RDS backups. Yeah, we have this manual backups and automated backups. Yes, but automated backups, which we have the default retention period that is 7 days, but it can be extended to that the 35 days. Yeah, that is automated backups, but manual backups, yes, which we can keep it there as long as we want. Yes, that is these are all we can take that the snapshots and we can export it to that S3 also. S3 is another kind of storage, the where we can the keep that all the backup files. But what is that S3? That will come back. Yeah, but how to manage it, backups, and in case that if it is required to restore to the particular point in time, yes, how do we do that? That's options. Where do we have those options? And how do we create a snapshot on the snapshots which we can do copying to other regions? Or we can do that cross replication to that other region, that is replication of the same database instance to that other regions. Yeah, there are some options on snapshots wise, which we are trying to understand it in the database. And as well as the next parameter group is another important thing which we are understanding. Yeah, the parameter group, they have given us all the configuration properties of that database in the parameter group section. Yeah, but we can create about our custom parameter group and we can attach that parameter group to the database instance to apply that custom configuration to the database instance. Yeah, that was one more option, parameter group. And we were observing that events, yes, what are the events which are happening on the RDS? Yeah, we can get that all the event details, and even we can subscribe to that events. Like any event is happen on the RDS instances or the clusters. Yes, we can get the email notifications as well as we can subscribe to that. And another option, recommendations. Yes, AWS is providing the recommendations on the basis of the configuration which you have done. Yes, that's we can verify the recommendations, and if it is required to use it, yes, apply it, or otherwise we can dismiss it that. Yeah, there are the points that's on the RDS side, which we are trying to understand it. And we have another type of yes, Aurora. Aurora is also RDS with Aurora. But Aurora is helping about it, the performance, the optimized solutions on the MySQL and PostgreSQL. This supports only MySQL and PostgreSQL. But Oracle, yes, Oracle is a third-party one. They have, as Oracle provider, it's optimized. But if you need the Oracle directly, you can take it as RDS instance. But we don't have Aurora Oracle or Aurora MS SQL server like that. Yeah, this is given that only on the open source databases, especially MySQL and PostgreSQL. Yeah, that was a topic which we had it yesterday on the RDS, last 2 or 3 sessions. I hope so, 3 sessions, 3 or 4, 4. Yeah, almost 4 sessions on database side. Yeah, manually how to create it on the EC2 instance. But yeah, if you have created manually, then backups and recovery mechanism, that is, we need to handle that. We need to use it some shell scripting or some other third-party tools to take their backups and restore options. But if you use it RDS instance, yes, the ready-made, yeah, the solutions are available from AWS. That's why as RDS we say that managed service from AWS team, and which is yeah, the very helping about it to use the database service. Yeah, that was concept. Yes, any queries on that before moving to next another important service, that is S3. Yeah, so let's move into that. Another service, that is S3. But what is this S3 and how that S3 is supporting? Let's continue. Yeah, already we discussed one storage service, right? Can you give me the name of that storage service which we were discussing in the previous sections? Yes, what is that service? Yeah, EBS. Elastic Block Storage. But EBS, can I access it from anywhere, or is it like EBS volume should be attached or mounted to that instances? Then only we can either storing the data, retrieving the data. That shall we do, or can we access from anywhere? So what is the feature of it? The storage. Yes, that is need to attach to the instance. Otherwise, we cannot access it. That is, as we're talking about it, that is a block storage. Yeah, so like a normal hard disk, which we have this, right, for about our laptops. Yes, that's a hard disk, which is, I mean, in the C drive, especially if you just observe that, we go for installing all the softwares. And all these softwares, whatever the OS we are installing and everything, that uses that backend block storage. But my requirement is, suppose we have some PDF files, or we have some like, yeah, the image files or the videos files, or we have yesterday we're talking about the backups of the database files. But if you have these kind of the files, then where do we store it at? Can I use it in the EC2? You can use it, but to access that, okay, you need to attach that and you need to have the system availability. But if I use it, suppose something Dropbox kind of the stuff, Dropbox or the Google Drive, then we can access from anywhere, right? By using the URL with authentication. So if that is and the proper authentication, yes, we can access it from anywhere. Yeah, EBS, which we were talking about it, that is the hard disk kind of the storage, which we can attach to that EC2 instances, or we can attach to that RDS databases to manage that OS or yes, like binary files or operating system files. But if you have this application, the report files or application, the log files or application backup files. So where do we store it, or how do we manage it? That yes, that is the storage. The need more space. Yes, that is a more storage. Yeah, the need for the storage is increasing every day. Yeah, in our just if you just think it in our like regular activities, we keep on taking about photos or the selfies, or I mean about like videos records, or we get it so many the WhatsApp messages. So the mobile, if you just think it like if you have the 64 GB or 128 GB, that is not sufficient these days. So I keep on looking about the more storage, right? So taking the backup into that some external hard disks. Yeah, in our daily regular life, if we just observe that the need of the storage, then thinking about that application, the keep on the getting access by the clients, and the clients he uploads the files or maybe downloads the files. But back end all these files of that application are required to manage it. Not only just client side the resources of application, but thinking about that application itself, we need to store that backup application and application data, whatever we have. So we need to keep on taking the backups. Yeah, the more the storage. Yes, the storage is one of the important. Yes, that's like the maintenance activity, which we can say this in the real time. Yeah, so the need for the storage is increasing every day, and knowing that amount of the capacity, yes, we cannot predict it. What is that the amount of the storage is required that today or tomorrow, or maybe after 3 months or the 6 months, we cannot predict it, right? Suppose if I predict that, okay, for my application that is required something, uh, the 1 terabyte of the storage. And if I have taken this 1 terabyte of the data, I mean the storage to store the data, but maybe if it is required more than that, if it is required more than that 1 terabyte of for which is required for that my application, then insufficient the space that will face that issues, insufficient the storage. Or if I thought it okay, 1 terabyte that is required and I have taken, maybe sometimes I don't use it, that 1 terabyte of the data, maybe 200 GB, 300 GB is required or enough for my application. That means what of the additional amount of the storage which I have taken, that is underutilized. Yeah, here the 2 points, like either, I mean, as a prediction point of view, so you have predicted some amount of the storage, maybe that is the not enough or insufficient, or whatever you have predicted, maybe sometimes that much you didn't use it. Yeah, the storage is one of the important, yes, like keeping all these hassles in the mind, Amazon came up with an internet storage service. Yes, the name itself is saying internet storage service. So that's we call that AWS S3. That is simple storage service. Triple S. So triple S instead of that, that is S3 we will call it, we will pronounce. But that is simple storage service. But what is that advantage going for the simple storage service? Yeah, is it scalable? Yes, the scalability that we can have it, and high speed and low cost with the web-based service. Like we have the Dropbox. Yes, you can upload the file and you can access from the multiple devices, right? Through URL based or a Google Drive. These are all kind of web-based service. The where you can, I mean, amount of the storage that is required. Yes, you can buy it. You can go for the payment options and you can use that the storage. So like that's a for the application infrastructure management, the backups of these or application content point of view. Yes, the AWS team, they have come up with their solution, that is S3, which is scalable, high speed, low cost, and web based service designed for online backup and archiving of the data and application programs. Yeah, it allows to upload, store it, and download any type of the file. Doesn't matter that the file extension here. So any type of the file, that is a PDF file, or is it like, I mean, yeah, the XML files, or is it like the MP4 files or JPG files or backup of files. It doesn't matter that what is the type of the file. So simple, that should be object. One of the object as which you can have it type of the files up to 5 GB in the size. Yeah, size of the file that should be up to 5 GB. If you have this, you can upload it. But if you have that more than 5 GB also, you can upload it. The size of the file, single size of the file we are talking that. You can upload more than that also, but you need to use the background programming approach. Directly through the browser you cannot upload it, because we will get it connection time modes. Yeah, so with the multi-part upload is another option which is available using AWS CLI. With the multi-part upload, yes, we can upload the more than 5 GB of the data also. Yeah, this service allows the subscriber to access the same systems that Amazon uses to run its own websites. As yesterday we were talking about it, once the snapshot has been created of the database, but the snapshot I need to use it in another account. Like in UAT we have created the snapshot, and that snapshot I need to use it for the staging environment. Can I get it that snapshot to the staging account? Yes, we can upload to the S3, and from the S3 you can download in another account. As we're talking that this is web service URL based, web server URL based. Yeah, so EC2 instances or wherever it is required. Yes, you can access about this the S3 URLs, and you can either upload the files or download the files. But you need to have the proper permission, that is a privately accessible, publicly accessible. So on the basis of accessibility, you can access the data if with the I mean the control. Yes, we can access from anywhere. Yeah, what are the advantage of this S3 if you just conclude it? Yes, that is a low cost and easy to use it and secure. Yes. As we are talking about it, EBS, whenever we are creating that the volumes of the snapshots, encryption option is recommended, encryption and decryption with the key based. The same thing also whenever you are uploading the files to S3 or downloading the files. Yes, we have the security options, that is encryption decryption option. And not only that, who can access or who can upload it or who can download it, that control also which we can manage it. Not only just like encryption, but yes, the objects who can download it or who can upload it, that control, access control is also very very important. Yes, all those things that we can handle that with the Amazon S3. And this is the scalable. Yes, we can store as much data as we have and access it anytime. Then there is no fixed amount. So whenever you are creating that S3, suppose in the EBS volume, we have the some fixed amount. Okay, initially how much that is required. And if you would like to extend it, yes, you can extend it. Yesterday, like RDS point of view, yes, we have vertical scaling on the storage. Initially, amount you can define it, how much storage that is required, and maximum how much that is required, you can define it. Then vertically it is increasing. And in EC2 instances, whenever we are taking that the volume, yes, you can define that the how much storage that is required, IOPS required. That is, you have the limitation. But here, so whenever you are going to uploading that the files are creating that like S3 buckets, we don't have this any specific limit. On the base of objects size, whenever you are uploading, automatically will get the size or storage. Yeah, we can store as much data as we have and access it anytime. And this is a durable. Yes, we have the multi-availability zone backup. So like even one availability zone got failed, that is data center got failed, still that about our data is safe. So that is available in another availability zone. Yeah, it regularly verifies the integrity of the data stored using the checksums. And if the corruption in data, it is immediately repaired. Yes, failover handling, durability of the data, and performance. So like latency issues that can be reduced. So that's helping that. And we can integrate it with the other AWS services easily, either to get the data or uploading the data. Yes, if you like to distribute the data between the services, yes, we use that mediator is S3. Upload to the S3, go to other service and download it from that S3. Yeah, so that's about understanding the importance of the storage. We are not talking about the block storage, we are talking about object. Yes, about your PDF file is one object, or maybe MP4 is another object. Yes, these objects, if we have, how do we use it or how do we manage it in the infrastructure as a backups to manage it, or current application which is accessing that? Yes, suppose we have the invoices orders which we are receiving that, but all the orders or the invoices we need to keep on to the store that the customer's data. Yes, where we can store it, those reports or the PDF files, because the customer he should, he's going to access at any time, right? But all these the reports, the whatever which we have this of the application, it should be stored somewhere. But they're all object storage, we don't keep it in that like EC2 instance and all these data. So where we can keep it? Yes, that is in S3. And on the base of the user or client access, yes, we can get the data from the S3 and we can load it in the application. Yeah, how is the data is organized in S3? Is how to store it, the data. Yes, S3 is having that two concepts. One is bucket. Yes, bucket is kind of normally in the operating system level, we say the folder. Create a folder and keep that all the files in that. The same way in the S3, so if you like to store that all the objects, first you need to create a bucket. Bucket is kind of folder. Yeah, data in S3 is organized in the format of the buckets. Yes, a bucket is a logical unit of storage. So that is logical unit of the storage in S3, and it contains objects. Yes, what are the type of object doesn't matter. As we are talking about it, there is no specific extension, no, not required. Yes, any type of object you have, yes, you can keep that storing in the S3 bucket. Yeah, before adding any data in S3, the user has to create a bucket. Yes, first to create a bucket, then what are that like objects we have or the files we have, then you can add that data into the S3. And we can do that security like at a bucket level, or even that each object level also. Just remember that the whenever we are going to apply the securities, especially we have the two scopes. One is entire the bucket level, you can apply the security, or each object level also you can apply the security. Yeah, encryption options, and yes, like we have yeah, that's the policies as we're talking that access controls. So who can write the data or read the data? That is, we can define it at bucket level, or we can define it object levels also. Yeah, if we just conclude that bucket, S3 allows the people to store objects, that's the files in the buckets. Buckets are kind of the directories. But we don't call that as a directory, but it represents like as a directory. Yeah, buckets must have globally unique name. That is very important. Suppose I have already created one bucket with something example, but that bucket you cannot use it or no one cannot use it. That suppose simple riseancienttechnologies.com, already we have taken that domain name. We have registered and we have taken that. No one cannot use it, that right? The domain name. So the same thing. So the bucket names think like as a, this is kind of the DNS name. So bucket names are unique, globally unique, not at account level or something. Globally unique. It is kind of the DNS name. Yeah, buckets are defined at the region level. Yes. Whenever we are the creating a bucket, yes, in which data store or data center, the region you need to specify that while creation. But what are the naming convention that you can or you need to follow that while creating a bucket is no uppercase in the bucket. Yes, bucket name should not contain the uppercase. No underscores, and that like minimum characters 3 and maximum the character 63. And you should not use it bucket names with IP addresses as an IPA, and it has to always start with the lowercase letter or number. Must start with lowercase letter or number. Yeah, there is some naming conventions which we need to follow that whenever we are creating a bucket. But what is that object which you are storing in the bucket? Yes, how what is this like the size of it and constraints if we just try to understand it. So objects like which you can say the files have a key. But what is the key here which we can say this is the full path of the object. Suppose we are storing the objects in a bucket. But within the bucket, can we create subfolders? Yes, normally in the operating system, one folder has been created. Yes, we can create subfolder. Within subfolder, you can keep those files. The same thing, the complete path of the object where it is stored in that bucket, that's we can say the key. That is indirectly in the normal terminology, we can say that is a path of the object. Suppose bucket name is my bucket and you have something file.txt. And now the key is bucket name / file name.txt. Or so in that bucket you have another folder 1, and in that folder another folder, and then you have the file. Then what is the key for this one is Yes, this is complete the path of this file. We'll say this is the key. Here are all the terminologies. The bucket. In the bucket, we keep that objects, and the complete path of that object we say the key. Yeah, there is no concept of the directories within the buckets, but although the UI will trick you to think otherwise, yes, like there is no concept of the directories here. But whenever we observe that ES3, it represents like as a directory concepts. Just keys with very long names that contain the slashes. Yes. So this is actually the key which contain the slashes. But in our folder representation also we see that same thing, right? In our OS level. Yeah, object values. Yes, object values or the content of the body. That means the size of that the object. Maximum size is 5 terabytes of that data. So the size of the file that you can have it up to 5 terabytes of the data. But if you are going to uploading that the more than 5 GB size, must use that multi-part upload. The multi-part upload, that's the concept which is available at the background programming level. We need to use that mechanism if the object size is greater than 5 GB. And each object whatever we are creating about it, it is going to have that it's a metadata. Yes, that is having the key value page, this information of that the object URL, object URI, object key, object permission, object encryption. They're all like which we can say the metadata data about that object. And the tags also we can create it up to 10, as we are talking about it, tags like which are having the key value representation. Yeah, that's about. Yeah, we can do that versioning also, but what is that versioning will come back. Yeah, that's about S3. Now let's go for how to create a bucket and how do you upload that objects to the bucket. It is kind of simple, like as a folder creation and within the folder uploading the files. So are you clear about this? Understanding S3? Any queries at any points before going to talk at that demonstration of this? Yeah, you can search for that S3 service here. Yeah, scalable storage in the cloud. If you observe here, whenever we are asking about it, Amazon S3, so this is a global level. We don't have that any that region, the kind of the concept here. S3 you are creating is nothing but that is a global scope. But whenever you are defining that, you need to define in which region that you want to keep this bucket as a resources management and application access point of view to reduce the latencies. You can choose it about your bucket in which location that's due, in which region that's you want to create it. But before creation, yes, you don't have that option. So switch to that region and create only that bucket is not specific to the region. That is the main point. But to access that the objects which are storing in the bucket as application requirement to reduce the latencies, you need to choose it the region. That is during creation time. Yeah. So here that's like I mean the left side menu. If you just observe that, yes, the buckets. Yes, you can go to the bucket section here, or you can see this list of all the buckets which are created, but no buckets are available. So let's go for the creating a bucket. As we're talking about it, creating bucket is nothing but it is kind of the folder or container which we are creating to store the objects. Yeah, so give the properties as a bucket name, but bucket name, as we are talking about it, this is globally unique and must not contain the spaces or uppercase letters. The globally unique in the sense, like suppose if I define the test, maybe you also you have already created this the bucket with the test, then I cannot use it that. Even in my account, I don't have any buckets also. I cannot use this name because you have already used this bucket name. Yeah, use it that the specific the names like RNS tech, and this is test, RNS tech test or something. And yes, whenever we are creating a bucket, yes, you can define about the region. Yes, in which region that you want to launch it. Let me go for yes. Let me use it Ireland, Ireland or Mumbai, Mumbai, right? Which are using? Yes, Mumbai. Yes, where do you want to keep this bucket? And the settings, as we're talking that encryption mechanism or versioning mechanism, there are some settings are available. These settings, do you want to copy from existing other bucket? Yes, if you have those already other bucket and that same bucket settings, if you'd like to apply to this bucket, you can use it this option. But we don't have any buckets, other buckets. And next option is object to ownership. Yes, who is the owner of these? Owner of the objects which are storing or keeping this in this bucket. So we will say that there are like access control, that is a read permission, write permissions. Yeah, ACL set disabled. We will talk it about it. This access control. How do we define it? How do we make it owner? What are the permission? Or other accounts also you can give the permission. Or public also you can give the permission. Yes, that will come back. But for the time, let's go for the disabled. And block public access. Yeah, by default, it is a blocked public access. So it is enabled blocking the public access. That means this object is only private. It is not given the public. But when do we use the public? In which context they have given that option? That's I'll come back later about this. This is also kind of the ACL, access control list. And bucket versioning. So what is this bucket versioning and how that is going to helpful that versioning? We'll come back. Yes. If you need that backup, suppose by mistake I deleted that my database backup file from the S3, but we don't have anywhere in that backup file. Then you lost it, right? Actually, if you deleted is nothing but that you lost it. But if you have enabled that versioning concept, even if you have deleted also, you can recover that. That means it is virtually deleted, but not physically. So it is kind of versioning concept, like GitHub. How do we have that to store it about our code with the backup management? So in that S3 also, what are the data objects which are storing? So we can, unexpectedly, if we delete it also, we can have it the recovery options. But if you need that recovery option, you need to go for bucket versioning. We'll come back. How do we use it? This versioning option. Under tags, yes, you can add the tags for identification and encryption option. As we're talking that the whatever the data you are storing in the S3 bucket, yes, you need to keep that encryption the solutions. But what are the different solutions are available? We'll come back later. Yeah, so these are all some settings. I didn't choose it anything. Let's go for that with the default. That is a bucket name. Under region only, I have selected. Remaining all are defaults. Let's go for creating bucket. Yes, I'm able to create bucket is nothing but this bucket is nobody is using that this bucket name. Yes, we are good. The bucket is created in the region and the access control list. Bucket and objects are not public. Yes, we didn't give that any public access. By default, it is blocking, right? Public access. Yes, access we didn't give it public. Creation date, yes, at what time it has been created. Yes, you see that's all the details. And now let's go to that, the accessing this bucket. And here some options. Yes, you can delete this bucket if you don't want that. But before deleting, you need to empty the data. Empty. Yeah, so if the bucket contains the data, you cannot delete it directly. That is, we can say that graceful deletion is nothing but first empty the data, then delete the bucket. But now we don't have any data, we can go for the deleting this. But yes, these options you can just observe that. Now let's go to the bucket. Are you following everyone? Is it clear? Okay, so we just done that's like bucket creation. Now let's go for if you'd like to upload that any files or any, I mean, any kind of yes, the PDF files, or if you have the stuff files, if you'd like to upload it, how do you upload the files to the S3? But so far, no objects are available. And yes, objects are the 0. And here you can see this upload option. It is kind of, I mean, the Dropbox simple upload or download. Yes, once it is uploaded, you can go for the download, or you can open the file, or you can delete the file, or you can copy the URL. Yeah, let me upload one RNS, the logo file or image file. So here upload it is asking you can add the files or you can add the entire folder also. So let me add the files. So which I'm having something, yes, RNS logo. So this is the image which is on the file extension .png. Okay, the type doesn't matter for it whenever you are uploading. Like that, if you have those multiple files, yes, you can add it, the files. And now, yes, to access this file, what is the URL? Now you see this. It is given that the protocol is S3 colon slash slash and bucket name. That's why like a unique name. Bucket is globally unique name. Now this is the URL. Anyone can access this. If you have given that the permissions, like a public access, yes, anyone can access about this file. Yeah, the URLs are constructing like this. That is S3 protocol colon slash slash with the bucket name. Yeah, so this is a destination folder now. And the permissions which you can set it, or properties you can define it, like encryption options and storage classes. We'll come back later, all these things one by one. Now let's go for uploading this. Yeah, upload succeeded. Yes, now this is the image, the which has been uploaded and it has been succeeded. And sometimes whenever you are uploading and if you don't have the permissions or sometimes the connection timeouts point of view, you will get it the errors. Yes, you can see this or you can track it. If it is not succeeded, why it is got failed, error message. Yeah, succeeded this much and failed, no failed. Okay, let's go for this closing this. Now this is the object which we have uploaded and it has been yeah, the size and the last modified when it was the lastly modified, which we can observe. Yeah, this is about the bucket creation, and within the bucket how do we upload the object. Now if you have selected this object, now you can see this delete options, or you can open it. Yes, it is asking that the pop-up. So let's allow that the pop-up. Yes, now I'm able to access that file. But here, if you see this, it is using the bucket name is the S3 protocol and with the region and aws.amazon.com, and this is the file which I have uploaded in that bucket. But it is using some temporary token key. That's why we are able to get the access, because I have already logged in here to that AWS account, and with that token key, I'm able to get it this. I'm able to access it. But if you try to access this one, you cannot access this because we didn't give the public access. Yeah, we are able to access this file directly from here. That is as an open option. But if I use this copy URL, object URL has been copied. And if I use the different session, you see this, it is saying this access denied. Access denied. We didn't give the public access. You cannot access it externally, this object. But before, how it was working? Yes, I have opened this one with my current user. Already I have logged in, right? It is going to create one token, temporary token, to access this file. And with that token, it is open the file. But through the URL, if I'm going to access it, yes, you cannot access that. So through the URL until you have the proper permission. Yeah, that's about URL and open options. You can download the file. Downloading wise, no issues. Yes, the file has been downloaded. It is kind of the Dropbox how we are using that. But we say that S3 this is from that like AWS, the proprietary, I mean the AWS service. You can delete it and you can do some actions. Actions will come back. And here you can, within this bucket, yes, you can create a folder. Within the folder, you can upload it, the files. But directly we are uploading within the bucket itself, or you can create subfolders and you can upload the files to the subfolder as well as. Now, if you open this file, this is about all the properties of this object, that object related, the information. Yes, here also you can see the download, or you can copy S3 URI. Copy S3 URI if you just observe that. So this is S3 colon slash slash and bucket name slash and file name. This one we can say key, right? This is the key. S3 is a protocol and with the bucket name, and this is the key. But it is not available. You cannot access it until that. Yeah, it is asking us now. You see that access key ID, secret key, which we need to use it. But don't worry about it. This one, the later we'll talk it that. Because it is not having any direct permission to access it. So you need to have it authentication mechanism. Yeah, S3 URI with that like AWS credentials, you can access it. The download, it is available. Open, yes, with the temporary token key, it is able to open the file. And object actions, yes, you can download it or you can copy it or you can move it. You can calculate total size. Total size you can see directly. And some other options like storage classes, encryption options, and renaming this object, and tags customization. They're all different actions which you can browse it, but I'll talk at that one by one. So storage classes, what do we have? So here, if you'd like to understand all these points, especially edit actions, what are the different storage classes are available? What are the server-side encryptions are available? So those concepts that is required. Then only we can edit it and we can do some customizations. We'll come back. Yeah, now this object properties, if you observe, yeah, who is the owner of this one? And in which region, when it was lastly modified, and size of it, type of the file, and the key, as we are talking about it, path of the file. Yeah, directly this is available in the bucket. It is just saying that file name as a key, and this is the S3 URL for this. And each object, whatever we are going to creating that in AWS, not only this S3 objects. So any service you are creating, as we're talking that in IAM also, any user you are creating, group you are creating, each resource is going to have its unique resource name. That's we'll say that ARN. Yeah, this is the ARN of that, sorry, unique name of that AWS resource name. And entity tags and object URL. Yes, this is the actual URL of this object. But now by default, it is saying that access denied. So it is not having any permission to access it outside. Yeah, that object properties. And yes, we can manage the bucket some properties also. But what about this versioning option? That is next time coming to that. Enable bucket versioning, or yeah, the locking options, storage classes, encryption options, checksums, or the tags, or the metadata. Metadata, if you just observe that, it is having the data information. So the content type is one thing which we have. Content type is which is belong to that image related. Excuse me. But it is defined by the system itself. But if you like to add it some metadata information of this object, that is labels option, yes, you can add it. And the locking of this object. Yeah, there are some other properties. So that's will come back one by one, those sections. And permissions options, if you observe that, yes, ACL, access control list. For the timing, this account owner, this account owner, he can do the reading that object or read write of that object. The ACL permissions, he can read it or he can write it. But public access, not given. Authenticated users, that means IAM users, if you have anything, other IAM, yes, other AWS accounts, yes, you can give the permission to the other AWS accounts also. But we didn't give that on this object. It is not defined any ACLs. So even if you'd like to edit also, it is not supporting. That means, first of all, bucket level, you need to allow that. Object level, it is disabled is nothing but bucket level itself is disabled. We were defining this, right? Disabling option. Yeah, object level permissions one thing, and bucket level permission. Just to think it with these two scopes whenever we are working with that, especially the permissions. Okay, the permission section here, you can see that the account, I mean, current account permissions, or the public access permissions, or other AWS account or IAM users permissions. And finally, the versions of this object, but we didn't enable that any version. So there are no versions. But if you'd like to use it, you need to go for enabling that bucket versioning. That's will come back. What is the versioning concept? That's we'll talk it and we'll come back. Yeah, that's about object. If you analyze that, what are the properties are available? Properties you can access it, and permissions you can check it, or you can edit it and you can send it. And finally, versions of that, the file. That's also we can get it like different versions of the same file. Yeah, that is object accessing and object to three sections. What are the three sections? Properties of it, permissions, and third one is versioning. Are you clear about this? Okay. So now let's move into that. The versioning. What is versioning? Versioning. We are talking about it. Yes, let's move into that. Understanding the versioning concepts, and we'll come back to that. Yes, how do we use it, or what is the benefit of that? Enabling versioning. Do you see the screen? Okay, good. Yes, what is the versioning concept in S3 is? Yes, we can version about your files in AWS S3. Suppose, you have the Excel sheet or one PDF file or some XYZ file. 10 o'clock, one update we have in that file, some content it is updating. And 12 o'clock, another content we have. And 5 p.m., another content we have. That means object is only one, file is only one. But modified 10 a.m. with one content, it has been modified. The 12 noon with another content, it has been modified. Or 5 p.m. with another content, it has been modified. Either appending the data or removing the data. That is a later story. But file is keep on modifying that. But you need to have the backup. 10 o'clock file, yes, I need to have the backup. File is the same. But 10 o'clock, I need to have the backup. 12 o'clock file, I need to have the backup. And as well as I need to have the 5 p.m. file also as a backup. Yes. So if you are expecting about it, those kind of the same object which is keep on modifying, but modified versions you need to keep on managing that. You need to keep on manage it. How do we do that? Normally we have the version controlling tool that is a GitHub, which we are going to discuss in the DevOps mechanism. The developers, what all the files are, what all the configuration file, or even the DevOps you need, what all the files we are implementing. Yes, it has to be tracked everything. 10 o'clock what you have modified, 12 o'clock what you have modified, or 5 p.m. what you have modified. Everything it has to be tracked. The same thing here also in AWS S3 in the bucket, you are keep on updating that same object, but with a different content. But how do you keep it all that objects? All the versions of that object. Object is only one, but 10 a.m. one copy, 12 noon another copy, 5 p.m. another copy. How to manage it is, yes, S3 is helping about it. If you have enabled that versioning on that S3 bucket, then whenever you upload the same object, like a 10 a.m. one file, yes, it is going to have the backup of it. And 12 o'clock, the same file you have uploaded, yes, that is a backup of it. Yes, whenever you upload it or update that the object, it is going to keep that version of that file. Yeah, it is enabled at the bucket level. Yes, it should be enabled at bucket level. And the same key override will increment the version numbers. Yes, the key is the same. That is a path of the file or file object is the same, but it is going to manage that with the different versions. Yeah, it is best practice to version about your buckets. That is a best practice. Why it is best practice? Protect against unintended deletes. Yes, suppose by mistake, as we were talking about it, you have deleted RDS backup of file, but you don't have anywhere else. But you need to, you need to use that to restore it. The client is asking that. Then how to get it that? Yeah, if it is stored in that S3 and with the versioning enable that with the bucket, you don't need to worry that. So it is going to give that, okay, you have deleted, but that is virtually only deleted, not physically. You can restore back or easy rollback to the previous versions. Yes, like a 5 p.m. whatever the file you have uploaded, which is having some issue, you need to roll back to the 12 p.m. file. Yes, you can roll back the previous version file with the latest version. Yeah, any file that is not versioned prior to enabling versioning will have a version null. Yes, now we didn't enable that. Whenever we are uploading that about our logo file, it was not enabled that versioning option. By default, what is the version that is assigned is null. Yeah, let's see this, how do we enable this versioning concept and how that is going to helping the versioning management. Yes, this should be done at bucket level. But where do we have this in the bucket level to enable this option is? So now you see this, yes, in the bucket. Now we are in the bucket. This is a bucket. Yes, and here in this object section, you can view the list of all the objects as we were talking about the before. And if you go to the property section, this is about bucket level properties. Before we were talking that object related properties, but now this is a bucket properties. And here you can see the bucket overview. Yes, this is the ARN of this bucket or in which region that is yes, that is created and at what time it was created. And the next property is, yes, next bucket property is versioning concept. Bucket versioning by default, it is not enabled. Yes, this is disabled. Yes, you can go ahead, edit this, and bucket versioning, you can enable that. Yes, enable that and save the changes. Now in this bucket, what are the objects you are uploading that? It is going to apply the versioning concept. Versioning concept. Now one observation here in the home page of this object, before we didn't see this option, show versions. Before we didn't see this option, show versions, but after enabling that, the versioning mechanism, now we see this, we can see this objects with version options. Yes, show versions. Yes, this is the file which we are uploading. But what is the version ID as we are talking that? This was uploaded before enabling this version of version concept. By default, it is assigned that null version. Null version. So now onwards, whatever that like objects which we are uploading, those objects are going to assign with version ID, one unique ID. So let me upload it. Same logo file. So let me go for add the files. So I'll try to upload the same file. Suppose, so what is the file we have is srns logo.png. The same file I am uploading. But if I have done any changes, yes, that is different story. But we didn't do that any changes. But I'm trying to upload it. Let's see this. Yes, upload has been succeeded. Let's go close this. But file it is showing this only one. But in the show versions, if you go to that, yes, now you see that the two files actually we have that. For the user, it shows that this is the file. This is the user file. But for us, as a like, I mean, you have the show versions options. I mean, we can understand it. Okay, it is having the two versions. One which was uploaded at 1921, that is 721, and another one which was uploaded at 740. This is the latest file. But we didn't do any content changes. If the content changes, then I will be having that the file which was updated at 721, and as well as we have the file which has been updated at 741. Are you clear about this point? The advantage of the versions. Suppose now again development team, they have updated that image and they have given to us and you have uploaded. Yes, after uploading, again third version it is going to manage it. Object is only one, but timestamps based it is going to managing that. So that is advantage of it. And as we are talking this one more point, suppose if I delete this file, okay, deleting that object and specified object, okay, this is the object which I specified and confirm that by entering delete. Okay, I'm going to delete this object. Yes, if I go to that, the bucket and in the object section, I don't see any object. Yes, it is deleted. To the user, that is not available. But backend, if you observe the show versions, yes, you see that's like one more marker which is defined, that is a delete marker. Still the file is available. Yes, I can get it. I can download this file and I can use it this file. Yes, if I have selected this one, yes, I can download it or I can open it. But latest marker what it is having is delete marker. That means in the normal, yes, we don't have the file that is deleted. But backend, physically still that is located. So now this the size is showing about it 0 bytes. That is advantage of this versioning enabling. How got this point? Understanding this point, I mean that is the versioning concepts. Same object, if it is keep on updating, and each update, yes, you can keep it as a backup. That is one beauty. Second beauty is, by mistake, if you have deleted that any files in the S3, if it is enabled that with the versioning option, physically the file is not deleted, only client access point of view that has been deleted. Client, he cannot access it now. Suppose anyone, suppose the open URL was there here, then he cannot access it because this is object is deleted. But backend, yes, for us, it is available. You can download it and you can the re-upload it and reuse it. Is it clear about this file? I mean, there is a version concept. Yes, now I have re-uploaded. And if I close this, yes, now it is showing about it. Now this means the user can access this file. But if it is the marked as a delete, then user cannot access it, but we can internally access it. But each upload, yes, it is keep on managing that separate versions. Yes, each update it is managing as a separate versions. Yeah, so that is about understanding the versioning concept. That is one of the property mechanism which we have. That is a bucket versioning. So recommended is enabling important data. If you are keeping this in the S3 is nothing but yes, make sure that is enabled. But as that like objects which are keep on updating, yes, it will be chargeable. The size on the base of it, yes, it is chargeable. But even that charge also we can reduce it. That's we have that in the management section. We have those life cycle rules. We can define it, or like a deleted files or old version of the files. After how many days do you want to delete it automatically? Suppose if the object keep on updating that, so it is going to creating so many versions. But after some specific duration retention mechanism point of view, only I need that latest 4 versions or the 5 version. I mean, previous those files are no more required. Then you can manage it. So management options are available. I'll come back later this one. But enabling that version that helps about it as a backup mechanism. It is kind of the version controlling tool, which we are talking this in the Git or GitHub. Those features it is supporting that with the versioning. Yeah, so that's points for today. Understanding. So S3 bucket and S3 objects and uploading and understanding this the object level properties. Yeah, now if you just observe that the here in the property section, so where is that? Okay, storage class. Yeah, the bucket versioning has been enabled. But permissions and all that's like still we didn't discuss. We'll come back. And versions, yes, different versions of that object. Here also we can see that. And yes, so what is the current version which has been accessible to the current client? Anyone is asking about that object is nothing but this is the version that is available. Yes, you can see the actions which you can do, like, but they're all object related actions. That means if you don't want that particular the version, yes, you can delete it, or you can go for that the total size calculation. Other than that, remaining properties are belong to that. These are all object related activities. But this is the delete marker, right? Delete marker. We don't have any other options. But this one, let's select about the previous other version. Yes, you can create a you can edit the tags for it, or you can download this one, or you can share with a pre-assigned URL, or you can calculate the total size, or make a public using ACL. That is, we'll talk it tomorrow. What is that ACL and how do we define that public access of this? So that's we'll come back later. But these actions you can perform it. Now, if I go to that open this one, yes, now during uploading this time, whatever the changes which were done, that changes I'm going to access it here. But we have the same file, but as we have the content different between 721, 740, 742, 742 anyway, that is delete. 744, we have the different content. Then if you'd like to access the particular content, yes, you can access that. Yeah, so that is about object level, the accessing the property, viewing the properties and accessing the versions. And the bucket level, enabling or disabling, that is option. Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk about it. Encryption options as security point of view. What are the different yeah, security mechanism that we can apply it whenever you are uploading that object, or bucket level encryption options. And next, the which we'll try to understand about it, ACLs. That is access control list. Encryption is one thing, and who can access, who cannot access it. So enabling or disabling those options is another important thing. Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk about it. Security related activities on the S3. Yeah, is it clear for today? Yeah, good. So that's all from my side for today. So which I'm having, and tomorrow we look into that some security related aspects on the S3. That is very, very important. As if you are keeping this data here is nothing but, yes, how do you want to encrypt it? The encrypting the data is one thing, and permissions specifying about it, who can access it and who cannot access it. That is a public access, or permissions at the user level, owner level, and policy documents we can create it. Yes, we'll talk it about it, those permission options tomorrow. Yeah, thank you. That's all from my side, and I'm going to log off and we'll meet tomorrow.